Why would you keep a martial arts notebook? And what would you keep in there? Answers to this and much more up next. All right, so why a martial art notebook? Primarily for memory. Whether you want to remember a technique, whether it's in class or at a conference or a seminar, or even just a memory of where you were at what time of your life. It's really interesting to look back and be like, oh yeah, okay. I have a few notebooks here. And so the first one I'm gonna go over, this is like my original notebook. It is a big old notebook. And what do I keep in there? So I would make copies of articles and stick them in there. Right off the bat, when I open it, I actually have an excerpt from the Tao Te Ching, which kind of helps me get my mind into a learning mode. I actually have some forms, combinations. So when I was in Kempo, we didn't really have the videos. So what we did was we wrote down everything. So when I was in Kempo, we had punch combinations that I wrote down for each level. We had punch techniques I wrote down. Some I just wrote, while others I printed them out. So like these are just handwritten. Blocking systems, more things to get my mind straight. Forms. Also, you don't have to be artistic, but it does help. So like I have some notes here where I'm doing joint locking, and it's kind of hard to write down what exactly you were doing. So I ended up drawing it. Not the best thing in the world, but it helped me remember. And I did up some study sheets with pictures of different joint locks. Got some stuff about herbs. I used to be big into researching. I'm a big martial arts geek, right? So I'd research my lineage, whether it was Kempo or Hapkido, and then I did up a sheet, and I actually had that in there. Even back then, I knew, anatomy and physiology was important. So how the body moves, what's the muscles, what's the bones, blah, 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 and so I actually have a whole section prior to getting into acupuncture, prior to getting into EMS. I would end up making copies of stuff from anatomy books, whether it was Eastern medicine or Western medicine. I just made copies and wrote them down and put them in here. So that's one section. Another section is more just techniques. These are actually techniques from retreats and conferences from back in the day. A lot of them are from '97. I did a lot of conferences then, not teaching at them, but actually just attending. The next section I have has a lot of articles in it. So yeah, some stuff from books, but a lot from magazines. Like back in the day, we had Taekwondo Times, we had Inside Kung Fu, we had Martial Arts Illustrated. We had a bunch of different, you name it, there was a magazine about it. And so I would put in articles that I resonated with. There's just a whole bunch of them. Oh, yeah. So Inside Kung Fu was one of them. And there was a guy who used to write, articles in there that a lot of them really resonated with me. And that was Burton Richardson. Being in the martial arts, you want to keep your head on straight. And you usually get that from your instructor and those you train with. But it comes from the outside world too. And part of that outside world is articles. And Burton Richardson actually did a lot of great articles that I'm going to have to go look through again because I haven't cracked this notebook open in a while. He has one from 1997, Stop Complaining and Start Training. So that was a good one. And I actually couldn't get a copy of it, so I actually typed it out myself. So it's good because I ain't typing. And then a bunch of miscellaneous stuff about teaching, leadership, instructor courses, stuff like that in this section. And then at the end, oh my goodness, look at those business cards. Man, people don't do business cards no more. I have business cards of people that either I used to train with, or I would get merchandise from them, just different things like that. So that's my original notebook. I have notebooks from when I used to train in Korea. I didn't do one per year. I just kind of like kept running through the same notebook until I ran out, and then I'd buy another one. Some of these are from training and inside the dojang, while some of these are from outside the dojang. So like where we would go, where we'd hang out, so what we would do, interactions between people. So because once again, this is about memory. And you think you're gonna remember something that's so huge, and then years later you'd be like, what was that? How'd that go? Right? Did that really happen? So I got these to remind me. And then we've got my Stockton multi-style notebook. Yeah, it's a little rough, but it is what it is. I gotta get a new one, or at least a new cover. And in here, we've got curriculum stuff, history stuff. I'll actually create handout sheets for my students or people that just train with us and whatnot, because everybody learns differently. So when they see a handout and it's done a little bit differently, they might be able to go, oh, that helps. That really locks it in. And then this other notebook I have is certificates, stuff like that. I have some certificates hanging at my house. I have some hanging at the school, but not all of them get hung up. So this is all about the certificates that I have that aren't on the wall, but I don't want to get rid of them because once again, this helps to remind me of what have I trained with, who I've trained with, where I was at what time. It really helps to remember. Here's a class I went to in Colorado for handgun, patrol rifle, instructor development training. So this was a law enforcement class with the Krav Maga Association. This was back in 2014. If you would ask me when did I go to Colorado for that, I wouldn't have been able to tell you. But 2014. There's some Chunky Kwan stuff. Like here's some cards that I don't keep in my wallet anymore, but I don't want to get rid of them. All right, my DT4 EMS certificate, some Spike Team stuff, some Hawks certificates from seminars that I went to. What do we got? Oh, here's one from Guru Dan and Santos seminar that I went to in New York. That was like 2016. So here's a certificate of appreciation for teaching at Peter Friedman's cookout that he does every year. Good times. Here's something I'm glad I held on to. So here's a certificate of participation for a Sifutaki Kimura seminar. And it was in Rhode Island. He never really got out to the East Coast that much. And this was the first time that he went to the East Coast to do a seminar. And I happened to be there. And that was in 2014 as well. So it helps me to remember time, places. So here's rank certificates, appreciation for attending seminars, more. This one's from the United States Korean Martial Arts Federation down in Mississippi. That's actually a good one too. I haven't been there in a while. I really should. What do we got here? Combat Hapkido. Martial Arts Symposium up in New Hampshire. Good event. So Instructor Appreciation Award. Oh man, I have a lot of Super Summer Seminar recognition certificates. These are a great event. And then also Saratoga Martial Arts Festival. They do that for their instructors as well. Shuri-Te Bujitsu Kai in South Carolina. Another great event. I love events like that where there's so many different martial artists and everybody's just so open. You don't really have the
oh no, my style's the best, your style sucks.
They don't have that stuff at these events, right? It's really open-minded, a lot of camaraderie. It's just awesome. These are some of the events that I go to. We got just old pictures of me training in Japan. So those are some of the notebooks I have laying around. I'd recommend anybody to get a notebook. You've got electronic files, movie files, and photos and whatnot. I highly recommend get a hard copy of those. This doesn't take any electricity. You don't have to worry about no power. You don't have to worry about a file going corrupt and being and losing it forever and having it stored in multiple places. So having a notebook is going to help you to remember techniques, people, places, events that you think you'll never forget. But you do. I highly recommend it. So if you're training in martial arts, enjoy yourself. Train hard, have a good time, train safe. See you later.